pick up a turbo 2 engine, and we're gonna see what we could do to it. We're gonna go ahead and just pretty much help out, my pops basically, and seeing what we could do with this engine, see if we could get it up and running, see what's wrong with it. So yeah, fellas, stay tuned for this upcoming content. Gonna tear it down, tear it apart, and see what went wrong with it, and see what we could do for my dad, and see if we could get up and running again. So just yeah, fellas, stay tuned. We're gonna go ahead and check it out first, and show you guys a little glimpse of it. All right, here we go. All right, fellas, so here it is. Wow, it's definitely leaking oil. Whole lot of oil. And here. Wow. All right, well, we'll see what we could do. Here, got a Turbo 2 13B. Obviously, these are 4 ports. These are from the 80s, 89, 86, I believe, 87, 88, 89, around that era. So, yeah, finally got to understand. We're going to go ahead and just do a few things to it, see what's going on. Customer did say it was smoking a little bit. He wasn't very specific about the smoke. He didn't know if it was a coolant leak or if it was actually oil. So we're gonna open it and see what's wrong with it, and we're gonna go a little step by step and show you guys a little tips and tricks, I guess, or basically how I go about tearing these engines down. So we're gonna get a little more in depth in this one instead of just just showing you guys what I do. Gonna take the time and just kind of break down a couple things with you guys. So yeah, this should be a bit interesting for those of you who are rotary enthusiasts or looking into building engines, or maybe you're a builder already. So yeah, fellas, here we go. All right, so I already did take the oil pan off, so you guys could see it's definitely a coolant leak. You can't really tell here much, but yeah, there's some white chocolate over here, so it's definitely a sign that the engine went bad. Well, so first things first, it was obviously the oil pan. I always like to use one of these right here. I don't like using any like flathead screwdrivers or anything. I just try to avoid bending those oil pans as much as possible, so I just try to get under here and slide this in there, and then just just tap it all the way around. So well, that's that. Now we're gonna move on to the flywheel. So I normally use these right here, but for the sake of YouTube video, we're gonna go ahead and avoid using this. But I got this from Mazda many years ago, and it's just very practical. But I know not everyone has these special tools, special Mazda tools. So this is what I started with. The old chain method. So you just basically get a chain, something that's strong enough. You put a bolt through here on this end, and you just pretty much just attach it to the flywheel here to break off the nut. And we'll get more into this right now in a bit, but let me just put the chain on first. All right, fellas, so you guys can see, this is like some kind of like old school method we used way back in the day. You use like a stencil to just whack them off and to whack them back on. It's a very dangerous method, but very functional. That's what we did back then. But this is what I use. I also have an impact socket to break them loose, but basically this does the trick, and I'm always finding myself using this one more often than not. Well, this is what I use. So you can use this or a steel mallet. It don't really matter, just easy access. But you always want to leave the lug nut on there so it won't fall on your feet. Just give it a couple whacks. And it's got to be real solid too, or else it won't come loose. Alright, so now that we got the flywheel somewhat loose, we're going to go ahead and just put this kind of snug to it, and that should release the tension in the whole eccentric shaft. That way we could break loose the front bolt on the pulley. So that's just the way I always kind of done it. Hopefully it's not too tight to where like that always seems to work for me. Some silicone up in there. Found this much silicone on there. I guess they must have reused the washer right here. Decided to put some silicone on there. Yeah, that rubber's gone, so also have a thermal pellet. Cool. Nice. Man, these are real tight, too tight. Alright, so far so good. Not having way too many issues. Everything's going smooth. So we're just gonna take off the oil pump drive. And I know there's some videos out there that kind of make you take it all apart. I personally, honestly, don't see the need for that unless there's something under there that, you know, might be concerning. But other than that, I just take off the 4 bolts on here and then just bring the whole thing out, and it really saves you time. So that's just the way I've always done it. Again, unless there's some bad situations where, yeah, like these will be like worn out, like the teeth on here, or you know, there might be some shattering or whatnot, but these hardly ever do go bad unless it's been a bad build or something. Alright, so the gear's off, and check this out. Rule of thumb is just that if your nut gets caught on there, it's best to swap it out. So this is something I'm gonna look more deep into, but this is definitely gonna have to go. And then hopefully this one doesn't look too bad in here, but that's just a simple indication that, yeah, this motor or engine was running pretty dirty. I really don't know what's up with all this scratching, but look at this side right here too. Yeah, it's definitely getting caught on there, so it's gonna have to go. Everything looks fine here, nothing's like burnt or nothing, so definitely had good end play. It's just something with the oil. Alright, so we found some more issues, and that's a problem with the rebuilt engines, that a lot of times when engines are rebuilt, a lot of builders reuse parts, and there's definitely nothing wrong with it, but you could see, you kind of see where it was starting to have, where is it, oh, right here, some bearing failure, needle bearing failure. You kind of see it, so this is gonna have to be swapped. So another rule of thumb, rotary engines are only meant to be rebuilt once, and then after that, this is where you start getting into these issues where it starts becoming a bit more expensive. You know, budget builds, You know, there's nothing wrong with reusing parts, but if you're trying to get another rebuild out of them, it's very difficult without running any of these issues. So this is gonna have to get swapped out along with all the needle bearings and the oil pump drive too. So this is where it starts getting expensive, fellas. So this is the reason why a lot of builders use that rule of thumb. Usually they're only good for one rebuild, and after that you know you kind of start going into that, you know, rabbit hole. Call it what you will, but yeah, this engine was ready to have engine failure, but luckily nothing got binded in there or twisted to the point where, you know, it'd become trash. So, you know, good thing we were able to catch this, and we're just gonna have to source a good one out or get a new one. So we'll see how that goes. So right before we continue, you always want to have these two bolts back on there to hold the stationary gear that's on this plate. So you just don't want it falling out when you flip the engine over. So it's just, you know, just something to look out for. Alright, fellas, so in case any of you guys are wondering what the numbering is, it's there you go, 1, 2 starts on the bottom, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it basically goes in a circle, so that when you take it off it does this. So when you release the tension, it's kind of doing this when you release the tension. And the science behind it is just that you don't want, so for example, if you have too much pressure here and you loosen all these up, you're gonna have this, it's just gonna tilt right away. So it's kind of like putting pressure on one end and the other. So as you release that pressure, it's gonna do this, it's just gonna go up. So basically that's why they want you to do it in this sequence. Just an engineering thing, I guess. But you know, every one to its own, right? So these are the numbering for turbo 2. This is a S4 turbo 2. So in case any of you guys are wondering, let me see if I could do this with one hand. And basically you don't want to completely loosen it. Just, I do it like in 3 steps. So there we go. Just do like about a quarter turn, and then we're gonna do number 2. There we go, we broke that one off. Then we're gonna go to 3, and so on until you get them all broken loose, and then we'll just redo it again a couple more times. Alright, once you have broken them loose, then it just really doesn't matter. Just go in a circle, because the tension's not there anymore. We just wanted to break the tension off, just so we won't have any surprises. And another thing too, the cool thing about numbering them is that it could also tell you a lot about the engine. Already starting to get that cold coolant smell from it, but definitely could go back and check out the tension bolts. Like this tension bolt here is like real dark. So, and then the way it, you know, so it'll tell you a lot about the engine. Here's the iron. I don't see no sign of any water seeping in through here. There is this right here, but there's no sign of water getting in. And There's this one. I took this inner seal off, and it's really wet under there. I don't know if that was causing it, so I don't know if the plates are warped or the housings, but it's gonna definitely need a lapping, a light lapping, but nothing too major. But we won't know until we clean these parts and get really down to the nitty-gritty. But so far, it's not too bad. It's expected. Yeah. So here we are, rotor seals. So I've been checking them out, and interestingly enough, everything's within spec. Everything could get reused. Not to say that I am going to reuse everything, but first, like the apex seals, corner seal springs, side seals, all this stuff is surprisingly good. This is the second engine I've ever found to be in a situation where you could reuse the seals. So I'm I do get surprised when that does happen. Usually when they come in like done, ready to, you know, just basically change everything out. I know a lot of builders don't like to reuse anything, but this is well within specs, and I'm gonna show you guys in a bit. Alright, so here we are. So the wear limit on this should be no less than 0.180, and you want to measure it from the highest point, not from the middle. And if we measure it, look at that, it's 0.3, so it's way above the limit. Here we go. And then this one's a little more. So they kind of do tend to work because, you know, they're bouncing up and down inside the engine. Well, not bouncing, but they kind of, you know, tend to, you know, do this. But like I was saying, the corner piece, corner seals, side seals, everything is within spec. So let's do this again. Supposed to the limit's 0.112, and this is way over 0.112, so it's actually 0.120. So I mean, these are definitely reusable, and I'm bringing it up to the customer if he wants to reuse them again, because they are definitely reusable, but it's gonna be up to him. I would suggest he does reuse them, just because, you know, the engine's it's already, this is going to be a second rebuild. So I mean, these rotary engines are only made for one rebuild, and then you're done. One good rebuild where you just run them to the ground. But this is going to be a second rebuild. I think we were able to catch it on time, and I think, I don't know who built this engine, but like the water O-rings, they look reused. It seems to me like they might have been reused. And I think the oil control rings as well too. So here's an oil control ring, and I was able to find a good used OEM. you know, I think these are aftermarket, so if you run your hand across it, you can feel the lip on there. Whereas this one, you know, it's nice and rounded. And let me show you guys the difference on these two with the near caliper. So it's already reset. So there we go. That's what it's reading. And I got these off, and they're used. These are used. I think the engine had 130,000 miles on there. Yeah, just so you guys can see the difference. I don't know if you guys could see that or hear that. It's bouncing in there. So that explains why the car was really smoking bad. Once it warmed up, it would start smoking, and that was because of that coolant leak. But definitely the oil control rings were done. And like I said, these are used and they're still good, and obviously these are OEMs, but these are toasted. These are real toasted. They're gone.